just trying to be nice.
Gentleman had lost his wife.
Wearing good hands,
Get 'em.
They had
It is about the color, I know. I had to,
you know.
I know I warned over
That's where you
being
want
sick last night.
It's the longest minute.
I don't know.
Hunter couldn't see.
We need
Living
elevator
with all
music.
that dust.
Let me play the fight song.
So our house is
Mine or yours?
Mine.
And when we
You know the
had an
words.
addition
I'm not playing yours.
done 6 years
I forgot the words.
Oh, man.
COVID brain.
You hear it a lot.
We haven't
man,
heard
when we're scoring
text in
touchdowns.
a while.
Basketball, we did a good job last night.
because
You didn't play us last
we're
time we
getting a
played
little
Utah.
creaky.
You gotta pick up some little school.
It's all right, man. They all the little brothers
Oh,
need
man, I
to get
get to say
stomped on
the
every now and then.
Yeah, we won big last night too.
We,
So.
we beat the varsity this year. We even won in Manhattan.
And
You
Still
wouldn't even
can't
have a
beat,
big,
I can't see you, still can't beat Iowa.
well,
we
you gotta steal
got-
coaches
got
before you can do anything.
House
What's
rewired,
what's the purpose of having all that money if you're not gonna spend it?
things like that.
They're cash calls,
Plumbing is all done, which
alumni cash calls, what they call
the
it.
previous owner had.
Oh. Hey, look at this.
Calling the city council meeting to order, being November 8th, year of our Lord 2022, 6 p.m. Invocation will be given by Pastor Ben Ford, Grace Christian Fellowship, led by Pledge Allegiance and Texas pledge by Councilmember White. Thank you for all standing. Pastor Ben Ford, come forward. How you doing, Pastor?
Let's pray. Father God, I thank you so much for the work that you're doing in and through Odessa. Lord, I thank you for the leadership that you've put in place. Father God, we pray right now for them. We ask, God, that you would just bless them with wisdom. Lord, that you would just bless them just with your tact, God, with your patience, all of that. God, we also just turn to the rest of our nation today as voting is happening. Lord, we also just pray for the leadership of this country. God, we know that you put leadership in place, and God, we are thankful for that, and we fully trust you in all of it. God, we ask that you would just continue to lead this nation, and God, that you would allow it to be a place that calls more and more people to come to Jesus. It's in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
Please join me in the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Yeehaw. Never get a yeehaw from the congregation.
Whoa,
Congregation.
I just had a little church here, man.
easy, easy.
Oh, I get it, okay. Well, I was missing
We
something.
have no presentation. We have no presentation. We have no proclamation, presentations, awards. Also, citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Anyone wishing to address city council can do so by filling out a card to address the council on non-agenda items. You can do that. Come forward, state your name for the record. We'll remind city council that any non-agenda item that anyone speaks about, we cannot respond, but we can direct staff to be able to address an issue at a later time. Any member of the public may address the city council regarding any of its agenda items before or during consideration of the item. Also want to be able to have council. There is an item of the consent agenda before the review. Item F, consider award a recycling services contract to Butts Recycling Incorporated to be pulled. There's been a request to pull it off the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for pulling the item off the consent agenda? I have a motion by Councilmember Malta. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Swanner. All in favor indicating by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed indicating by saying nay. Motion passes unanimously. We are pulling item F. Council, if you want to, please review the consent agenda as presented, and I'll consider a motion for approval.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember White, second by Councilmember Sprouls. All in favor indicating by saying aye. Aye. All opposed indicating by saying nay. Motion passes unanimously. Consent agenda is passed as presented. First item for discussion by the city council will be item F, consider award recycling services contract to Butts Recycling Incorporated. Is Mr. Curran the,
Evening, Mayor and Council. So last week, we presented to you options that were available for the recycling services, and you provided a selection and an option for us to move forward. So we were coming to you tonight to have approval to move forward with that selection. As of today, we received notification that the proponent may not be in favor of that option. And we were not aware of this, but apparently they may have some concerns. And so for your consideration as to either tabling the item or pulling, or if you want to, I believe the proponent is here, may have something they wish to speak to on that.
there is a representative of BRI Recycling in the head contact the city through email. Can you come forward, identify yourself, name and company, and you have the floor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lourdes Perez. I work for Mr. Kevin Butts. He's the CEO of BRI, and unfortunately, he's unable to be here in person. He had other prior commitments that he had to attend to this evening, so I'll be speaking on his behalf. First, he would also like to possibly invite everyone to a meeting, that everyone who is involved with this proposal to get fresh ideas in order to benefit the citizens of Odessa and be within budget of the city as well. So first and foremost, he does extend, his apologies for any miscommunication, misunderstanding, or something that may have been missed with the proposal. So Kevin began working with the city since November 1st of 1995 to the present, so approximately 27 years. He has an abundance knowledge on recycling and how to benefit the citizens and the return investments to the city and to the citizens themselves. So the misstep, ladies and gentlemen, was possibly not pitched as well, but he did serve some concerns that we may need to water down the program, mothball the commercial side of it for a later time, and then come back with a fresh look for that commercial and incorporate it later on. The other item that was on the agenda in the meeting was the safety concerns of the building. As of 2019, he had in an email expressed the concerns for the employees and everyone involved in the building. It has a crack in the floor, leaks. We have to maintain our baler pretty much on a regular basis, and it needs constant attention. The water that is leaking in the floor is shorting out the baler. So that's an incurred cost that we are taking care of, and we don't pass that on to anyone. So at this time, he would like to go ahead and table this and come up with fresh ideas for everybody.
You're proposing another meeting,
Yes, sir.
and do you have an idea when it would be? You have an idea, Tom?
Now, also understand there is a deadline of January 2023, which Kevin is willing to push that out about 90 days, March, April timeframe, to give us that opportunity to come to the table with yourselves and him and see what we can put together that will work for everyone.
Who set the deadline for January 2023?
That is actually incorporated in the original agreement, which was put in place back in '95 to the present. So it kind of just moves forward. There's not anything in writing. It's more like a gentleman's handshake saying, okay, we're going to continue.
Okay, so we're really not really bound by it, so it's okay to go ahead and just move 90 days forward as requested by.
Correct.
by you guys.
Yes.
So became aware of this, I'd say about 4 o'clock, more or less. I think I wound up giving you a call. I wound up receiving an email as I read through the correspondence here. So there are a number of questions that you had basically had put forward. One of them was the concern about the building.
Correct.
And the safety. Is it safety to your personnel that is working in that facility?
That is correct, sir. Yes.
Okay, and so you You said something to the effect that you thought that, you know, I guess the company expressed those concerns back in 2019. And I guess you had requested if the city was going to address that issue or not?
It was.
What was the discussion in 2019?
The discussion was that we had met for an RFP, and that one actually just happened to fall in our lap, and we didn't know about it ahead of time. So we got ready, we submitted it, and we were told that there was gonna be another meeting where we would be notified somehow of the award. We were never notified of said award, or that if anybody actually got awarded that, we didn't receive a phone call or email. So we just kept going forward with what we currently had at the time.
So you received the RFP for the current contract that we were to consider tonight on the consent agenda that we discussed Tuesday on the work session?
Correct. Then we did stumble upon this RFP in August. And because we had thought we had missed the deadline, we were made aware of this. So I started investigating, reached out to the city and requested, is there an RFP currently that is going to be meeting and that we can submit our proposal? Upon whoever it was that I spoke to did not realize that we had no knowledge of this. So they were able to get us the information. We turned around and submitted this proposal. Once we submitted the proposal, we met about the 21st of September. We discussed with Mr. Kerr and his team and our team as to what would be beneficial. Is this RFP something that's viable? And we all were in the consensus that no, and we can actually mothball it for a time being, the commercial side of it, and then go forward and water down the recycling so we can come back and revisit that at a different time.
So this is dated September 30th, 2022. And this is RFP number 22-4301-028 meeting, ladies and gentlemen. Recap of our meeting on Wednesday, September 21st of 2022, is that correct? With 36 years of recycling experience, BRI has a few suggestions of how to address the current and future recycling needs, one of which is to rewrite the RFP to exclude commercial benefit to the citizens and keep it within budget for the city council to consider recycling and keep Odessa beautiful. Two questions on that. Why are you asking to exclude the commercial? And when you say to keep it within budget, what budget is that?
That would be something that Mr. Kevin Butts will be addressing with numbers. Yes, sir.
Okay, so why is it that you're making a recommendation to include the commercial?
To exclude the commercial, because at this time, it's not benefiting anyone at the table. And so we're losing money somehow, some way, and that's why he would like to come in and produce that information to you and address what are his concerns. And that way too, if you have any questions specifically towards the recycling, he would definitely have the knowledge to be able to answer those questions for you.
Okay. So did this email come from you or did it come from Mr. Butts?
Mr. Butts, and I,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so that makes sense about why you're referring to Butts to talk to Mr. Butts. Because it also said if it's decided to keep the commercial side of the RFP, this in turn means the BRI must complete the following steps. 1, reload recycling trash and deliver it to BRI MRF. That's basically not using the city facility. BRI team will work out the trash. Reload trash would not be recycled. At least 50% of these are with trash. And return it back to the time machine in Odessa, Texas. Once it has been taken back to the time machine, City of Odessa takes the trash from the time machine to the dump. Based on current format, the RFP 22-5301-28 on page 10, 50% of the trash from this program, 25% of the city pays for, BRI would be responsible for recycling 75% of the disposal cost. As you see that the cost of recycling is not cost effective for anyone at the table with the current RFP. The cardboard is being recycled. However, this means do not justify the amount of time and the money outlined in the RFP. So help me understand, there is a money amount here that basically said that y'all had agreed anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000. Does that not work for you guys?
We had asked for the increase back on the first RFP. We were looking at 7, and we agreed on the 5. Now, with the inflation of everything and just the ups and downs normally of how things go, we're just going with, like, for example, the 3% of increase in households and increase in salaries.
Okay. Okay.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Did Mr. Butts understand that last week the council's direction was to enter into a new agreement with BRI for the services. However, we excluded commercial. And moreover, I think the other item is that we were no longer can continue services within the building that we're currently in today. Did you understand that?
We were able to actually review that this morning at about 10 a.m.
Okay.
And review that. We didn't have any knowledge of that meeting ahead of time, so he could be here in person and address any questions that you may have and try to come up with a better solution.
Tom, you want to go over, just if you don't mind, the discussion last week? The
City
one
Manager,
that-
can you let me just go ahead and finish my question. I have not yielded my time, sir. Let me ask this other question as I come back on this, and then we'll get back to you, Mr. Kerr, real quick. So when I asked about the 5,000 to 7,000, BRI requested a revenue of 5,000 to 8,000. There was a later date in October 4th to 22, where it was a negotiation of 2-year contract, negotiated increases of all parties. It says it was a settlement of $5,000 per month. We were presented with a 6,000. Which one's accurate, the 5 or the 6?
The current one right now that we are at is the 5,000.
Okay. Okay. So currently with commodities, President, so this would be every 2 years. You also go on to basically saying you're reviewing the City of Odessa City Council meeting last week, everyone had the same consensus. The old shredder's located, and you gave the address where it's there right now. You basically already stated that the baling and recycling, and it's dilapidated and hazardous. And basically, for 3 years, it's been sitting in concerns, nothing has been done to rectify the hazard. Have y'all addressed that with the city?
We have.
Okay, so let me ask this final question. There was a breakdown in communication. You stated that you weren't aware that the city council had discussed this item at the work session and that we were presented. If I'm correct, Mr. Morel, this was we presented with an item without the commercial, but it was the status quo. Am I correct on that?
I'll let
That's-
Tom address that.
All items were without commercial.
Okay.
I can pull up the slides if you need, but none of the items included commercial because no one was willing to process commercial.
You
And,
posed a question in your response about if there was a status quo available. Were you addressing that was something that BRI would be willing to do?
Yes, sir. So we had our meeting with BRI, and the concerns that they had indicated, one was the commercial, and 2 was the building. And so we were, in the initial process, not expecting to continue to process on site. The base RFI said we do not wish to process on site. A lot of that had to do with the building. A lot of it had to do with managing the site when we're doing so. And so that was the base proposal. The base proposal did include commercial collection, but the vendor indicated, the proponent indicated to us that they were not willing to do so. So the options that we provided you were based on what we were trying to do with regard to what they had advised us. So we removed commercial, we were out of the building, but I did ask them for status quo because we looked back and we said, okay, well, if we do try to operate the way we are, which would still include some processing on site, what would be your proposal? And so they did give us that proposal. But we recognized that we wouldn't be able to work in the same building for the long term, right? And so we offered that to you. All this was provided to you. I apologize personally if something has gotten out of communication or way. I did not feel we were ready to go back to the vendor until we knew what the council would want to do. Were you willing to go to 354,000 without commercial and not processing on site? Or was the council going to want to select an option that wasn't such so that we could go forward with the vendor? Our understanding was that the vendor these were the proponents that we had talked to, the proposals that we had talked to with the vendor. So our first indication was we needed to know what this council wished to do. Our second thing was to come to council so that we could proceed with the vendor. The staff has no personal agenda here. We
Mr.
don't.
Kerr, that
Right.
was not implied here, sir.
I know, I want to make it clear. we want to do what you want us to do, and that's what we're trying to do.
Mr. Kurd,
Yeah. And
all this information came, and I received it about 4 o'clock.
All right, I saw it.
This is all new to me.
Right.
I reached out to Ms. Lulis and asked her to,
Sure.
I'm seeing this email, and basically I said, are you gonna be at council? I said, okay, so just come to council and let's just have a conversation.
Sure.
There's no sense in being defensive, or no one's
Well,
making accusations,
Well, I'm not-
or assuming that something happened. Basically,
I'm not being defensive, sir. I'm just trying to tell you what the situation, the whole situation was, just as you indicated. I saw the email at 1 o'clock when I got back from
Yes, sir.
lunch.
Thank you, sir.
I was not aware that they were concerned about it.
Well,
And so,
And
now,
you responded to Mr. Butts, if that's who was sending the email, where you said, are you basically saying that you don't want to proceed with I guess, the current proposal?
And I
Because you
called-
stated perfectly clear that council, and council was presented, and that we had approved the status quo.
Sure.
So you were very clear on that. And so and as I read through this thing,
sure.
my question in the end to Ms. Lourdes, and because, and Mr. Butts isn't here, so here's my final question is here. Is that what let me ask you this, do you feel, and I don't know if you can answer this because this is Mr. Butts, I'm sorry, you know what, I'm not even gonna ask the question because you're here to represent him, but you're not here to speak for him. He's the one that was in communication. So what is the request by the BRI? What are they asking for the council?
For the council at this moment, if we can just table it,
Okay,
and then that way we can come back to the table, all parties involved,
okay.
and just have a sit-down conversation and kind of look at all the options. He does have some fresh ideas to kind of get this back going on the right track, but it is gonna take some time. And of course, like anything else, oil and gas, it goes up and down. The commodities are the same way, especially with the economics and foreign economics as well. We're seeing a dip right now, but it's gonna come back up later. So you'll see that return on your investment at a later time.
I mean, I don't know about that. Council, questions, discussion? Mr. Mario, do you want to
I
finish your
do.
statement?
Tom, can you, certainly, we'll do as the council directs, but there is an expiration on the current RFP, which would mean that we would have to terminate that RFP and reissue another one. Is that about right, Tom?
The RFP expires shortly after this meeting.
Okay.
So that would that in essence leave us, unless they agree to continue until we have a new agreement, with or without recycling service?
So until the end of this term, which would be in January, I would expect that we
January,
still
okay,
have it.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
Could open up to the dais for questions?
My only question is, the numbers that I've seen so far, I don't think it's worth pursuing. We can't, in my opinion, we don't have the money to build a new building. Two, the 354, or 349, whatever it is, a year for them to pick the stuff up and take it to their facility, and take it off our facility, right, Tom?
They pick it up at our facility and the collection sites under the 354, if that is
A true number.
same understanding.
Yeah, I mean, that's not sustainable either, as far as I'm concerned, for the budget. That's a lot of money for something that's not making us any money, because those foreign countries aren't, as I understand it, are not taking our recyclables because they're contaminated so badly. And so,
The
why
net-
would we continue is my question.
Yes. And there's a net differential in terms of the budget, which I presented as well, that because we wouldn't be doing the commercial pickup, there's $100,000 of savings versus, just making sure that there is an expense to have them do the services that they would do. There's some savings. The net on the budget, if we selected to do that, would be about $150,000, $149,000, I believe it was. And I can pull those numbers up if you need me to be clear. I'm sorry. But anyway, so, but the cost of the service is, yes, sir, $354,000. If you don't do recycling, the net to the budget is a savings of $200,000 annually. Yes, sir.
I like that better.
That's an easy decision for me, but I'm just one member.
Council? Further discussion?
So Mayor, just to be clear, the council wishes to table this issue?
Well, council hasn't discussed about tabling the issue. Lourdes proposed the item about tabling. That has not been a discussion on the dais. Mr. Thompson requested, it was an easy decision for him not to continue recycling. That's not a motion, I understand.
That's what we're gonna
No, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna do that.
So,
But what it expressed is that, it's not making money. I expressed that in the work session itself.
Sorry.
You go ahead, sir.
So, and I would leave it to legal or the ones who know better than I do, but as presented to you, as we prepared it to you, was we were thinking that everything was kosher and that we were going to be moving forward, so asking for your authorization to move forward. So I guess the item would be either you wish to authorize to go forward, not wish to go forward, or table the decision. Is that what the?
Are you looking for the city manager or the city attorney for direction, or the council?
I'm not a legal person, so I'm not trying to tell you what the legal perspective is.
I move we table this discussion.
We have a motion, recognize Councilmember Sprouls. We have a motion for table this item. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor indicating by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion is tabled. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item, other council action. Item 1, consider approving Odessa Rotary Club's 2022 nominations for the Odessa Rotary Club's Walk of Fame at Memorial Gardens Park Resolution. Mr. Patton.
Good evening, everybody. It's so dark outside, it's almost like I should say good night. With the time change, I can't believe it's already dark outside. Oh, Mark, y'all wanna come up too? We got the members of the Rotary Club are here tonight in support of the choices that the 2022 nominees for the Rotary Club Walk of Fame that we have at Memorial Gardens Park. And I do wanna add that we did take this to the Park and Recreation Advisory Board on the 18th. They did approve in October these 3 nominees, and I'll let Mark take it from here.
Thank you, Steve. Give you a brief history of the Rotary Walk of Fame. This was the vision of Lewis Rochester, who for many years was a real estate developer and entrepreneur and a very long time Rotarian. I can't begin to tell you the number of years that he had uninterrupted, perfect attendance.
48?
I thought it was more than that, but it was a lot. I thought he made
50 years of perfect attendance?
which he accomplished at times by attending Rotary meetings in other countries, but he was an absolute pillar of our club.
David might know him. Do you remember?
I thought it was more than that.
So at
I
52?
thought
It was,
I thought it was, yeah.
it was a lifetime.
Anyway, Mr. Rochester had the vision that we should have a place in our park space to honor people who made particular contributions and demonstrated a certain level of honor in the way that they conducted their lives. And in doing this, he looked to what is now the Rotary Walkway, which extends westward from JVS Parkway just along the north boundary of the Westminster Presbyterian Church, and then it turns to the north and joins Memorial Gardens there at the southwest corner of Memorial Gardens. And in the the southeast corner of Memorial Gardens. In the southwest corner of that L-shaped tract, there is a wall where we have honored a number of notable individuals who have made contributions to our community. I can't name them all, but I can tell you that these have included mayors. I believe Mayor Melton has been recognized there, as well as Mayor Perryman, and Dr. David Watts, former president of UTBB, also comes to mind as being included on that wall. We have a number of nominations today, and I, along with fellow Rotarians, David Austin, Bill Nyborg, and David Saville, and Darville, are here to present these nominations. And the nominations are Bonnie J. and Charles D. Cotton. You may recognize Charles Cotton from his involvement with the Presidential Archives and Leadership Library, formerly the Presidential Museum. R.C. Paulette, formerly a petroleum engineer and longtime insurance agent, and Dr. Miles A. Eckert, who held a number of positions with Odessa College. I believe you've had in your packet an opportunity to review the nomination forms, which gave some biographical information of these nominees. So in short, on behalf of myself and my fellow Rotarians, and I'm sorry, I probably should have mentioned Mr. Sproles and Mr. Marrero among the Rotarians who are here, but on behalf of myself and my fellow Rotarians, I ask that these distinguished nominees who have honored our city be in turn honored by our city by inclusion on this Rotary Walkway Wall of Fame.
I think this was real simple. I don't think we have a discussion. Mr. Smalls, you would like to say? You
I
have
move we
good,
approve.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that was quicker than adjournment.
Second.
We have a motion for approval on item 1 is presented by Councilmember Sproul, second by Councilmember Thompson. All in favor indicating by saying aye. Aye. All opposed indicating by saying nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
There will be a ceremony and a plaque, and everybody's invited for the ceremony. Once they get the plaque, it'll be at the wall, which is just to the north, immediately north of the church there on the parkway. Great, thank you all so much.
We're gonna go, move to item 2, consider award of contract for sewer trunk line Q to Harper Brothers Construction LLC for $13,447,729. Mr. Kirk.
Mayor, council, we have for your consideration the award of a contract for Line Q construction. This is a major sewer trunk for us that goes from the Faudree Road intersection with Business 20 up to the Parks Bell area north of 191. It's about 34,000 feet of pipe. It is mostly in open country. We did receive 5 proposals, and the lowest most advantageous proposal was from Harper Brothers Construction LLC for $13,447,729. And this is within the engineer's opinion of probable construction cost. The proposed construction time is 440 calendar days from the notice to proceed. Completion projection in the winter, spring of 2024. The staff recommends award to Harper Brothers Construction for $13,447,729, reserving an additional 25% for contingencies, for a total funding of $16,809,661.25. Funding is from the Pioneer Fund accounts.
Council, any questions, comments?
This was under budget, correct?
Yes, sir.
Expected?
The expected cost for the project was about $20 million, so we're well under budget.
How deep is this line?
It does get as deep as 25 feet. In some areas, it's very shallow. Coming across Business 20, we are quite shallow, but yes, that's some low-lying drainage areas, so it kind of falls in that area.
Tom, what's the number of working days?
440 calendar days is going to be, that's going to be usually, that's 20 or 30, about 300 and probably about 360 working days. Be about 2/3 of that.
And we haven't used these people before, have you? You haven't used these folks before?
No, sir. These are new to us. They are from the Houston area. They have worked on many projects. LCA has vetted them. They have checked with their references and seen the projects they've done. They've done large projects. They work in multiple areas. They do roadway as well. They do sewer, water line work, and they've done large, they are able to bond significant values.
Good.
Council, any further discussion? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion by Councilmember Thompson, second by Councilmember White. All in favor indicating by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed indicating by saying nay. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Going to move on to item 3, consider professional service agreement with KDC Associates for the development of public engagement design and specification for downtown improvements. Ms. Hallmark.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, Council. As we discussed at work session, we are seeking to hire KDC and Associates for the development, for the development of a public service, professional service agreement. Earlier this year, we released the master plan. This is the next step in that plan to get it designed and engineered. KDC would be providing that. We're discussing the $7 million from the 2019 CO. In April, we sent out a request for qualifications. We received 2 back. As we talked about, we had a committee that vetted these 2 groups, and their recommendation was that we go with KDC. KDC will be responsible for all design specifications, but in addition to that, they will also be the project manager, so they will be with us from the start of the project to the end of the project, and working with the contractors if we move forward. I also have Mr. Cook here to answer any questions and go over his presentation.
Council, I'm going to open up the last for any discussion or comments. You have the floor.
I have a few comments on this. As you know, this is in downtown, which is in my district, and I'm wholeheartedly in favor of beautifying the district and especially downtown. I want to revitalize it and make sure that it's something that that can be very welcoming. However, I do have a few reservations about this project. Just the cost of it, and knowing that we only received two RFQs back from this, 2 responses back from this, sent out to 30 different firms. So I called some of the firms, and I heard back from some of them. 2 of them didn't have any idea of this RFQ. One of them didn't even bother with it. They said, we've sent in a few requests to you guys, and we've never heard anything back, so we just kind of gave up on you guys. I would like to see if we could send it out again and see what we can do. And we got $7 million. It has to be spent downtown on this project. And as I stated last week, that's not very much money when we're talking about this project. So when we're spending 10% of that project on this, that takes away quite a bit of money. And then when this is all done, Councilman Thompson said it pretty well also, that that $7 million, it ain't gonna spend the same way as it's gonna spend today as it is in 2 years, when this is all said and done. So I'd like to table it and see if we can, not to kill the project itself, but just so we can maybe send out another RFQ for it and see what else we can get from it. See if we can get something that's gonna be a little bit more advantageous for the city.
Council, any further discussion?
So this was 664?
48.
648? That represents about 10% of the cost of the project. I guess is that a pretty normal design portion of a project?
Yes, sir. Kelly Cook with KDC Associates, we're at 9-point-something%, which is very typical, between 8 and 12% on professional services. And if I may respond, Councilman Mata, actually, our terminology is wrong. You got 10 firms that pursued this project. Of those 10 firms, they chose to form 2 teams. One of those teams that you're visiting about was solely a metropolitan team between Dallas and Austin and Houston. They chose not to have any local representation. Our team is made up of 6 firms. 3 of those are Odessa, CVA for marketing and advertising, Newton Engineering for surveying and engineering, LCA for surveying and engineering. The other firm is Rodenberry Welland of Midland that did the downtown district that Midland has with the park. KDC came on board after discussion with everybody as the team leader because of our experience in working with the city of Odessa. So it's a little misleading saying that there are only 2 firms that pursued this. We chose to take the local route.
Okay, wait a minute, you made something, what do you mean we took the pursuit to the local? Can you expound on that statement?
Anytime we had, KDC today had 4 RFQs sent to us.
From this project?
No.
Okay,
Tomorrow we'll have 2, the next day we'll have 13.
okay, various projects.
Various projects across the state. Anytime you get these, it's a matter of strategizing on how you're gonna pursue it. And so the way we chose to pursue this was to come in and say, we think council's going to favor spending local professional services and keeping those monies local. We may be wrong. That was the direction that we chose to take. That way we brought our surveying on board, we brought our civil engineering on board, we brought the marketing, the public relations on board. We wanted familiar faces with not only council and staff, but with the public. We wanted to have a heartbeat on the community. The other team, for whatever reason, and they're a wonderful team, for whatever reason, chose not to go local.
Okay.
And that was part of the decision whenever the committee was looking at it, is one firm over the other. Well, KDC will have boots on the ground. They will be here, they will have somebody here if something goes wrong during the construction. They're here, they're local, they can be here in 20 minutes. The other team, like he said, was from Dallas, and it would take 6 hours, if that day at all. So that was a huge reason why we chose KDC and Associates in that group.
I understand that, but we contract with a lot of companies from out of town.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
So Councilman Monta, on the firms that you talked to, were they interested in going ahead and bidding out this project? Oh, sorry.
Yes, one of them was interested, and it's a pretty large firm. Well, like I said they sent in a few proposals from the past, and they've just never heard anything back, never heard any reason why they got turned down. Like I said, 2 of them said they didn't have any idea of this. They hadn't heard of it, so.
And we run into that every day, Councilman Mata. Pursuing this project for Odessa was important to us, and that's why we pursued it. The AE world is very small. We talk, we know who's pursuing it, we know who's responding. And we felt very comfortable in our pursuit of Odessa work because we have a 28-year relationship with the city. We wanted to pursue Odessa work. XYZ from Tallahassee, Odessa's not really on their radar. They'll pursue it if you ask them to, potentially. There's the difference.
Where was that one from, that you talked to?
It was Freeze and Nichols from Lubbock.
Okay. No, I don't know what it is. You know, I'm a huge supporter of everything in the downtown area. I know that this may not be enough money for us to get everything that we're hoping for down there, but I think it is a very good start, and I'm very comfortable with this agency.
I'm likewise comfortable with it.
Okay.
I like to.
Mr. Ross?
I'm comfortable.
Okay. I want to reiterate what I had said in the work sessions. We got $648,000. Now I understand why we got to $648,000 when it's split 6 ways. Some more than others. I know there's a lot of the surveys going to be redone. We're going to do it for the engineering, for the electrical. A lot of that data the city of Odessa already owns, but we're going to go ahead and repeat it again. We're going to do the market. We're going to do CVA, very expensive. Nonetheless, $3 million per block, 2 blocks. And no, that's not a question. This is a statement. $3 million per block, 2 blocks. The master plan, which has been 2, was basically, we're gonna do sidewalk improvements, we're gonna do islands, we're gonna do a little bit of landscaping. We were still going to do the electrical, we're gonna still do the lighting. We were going to be able to put those, I guess those banisters that come up so we wouldn't have to be spending money for shutting down. At that time was Texas Street. And so the thing is, I'm not saying that may not be included in the design, but it looks like we've gotten away further. Now we've gone escape as far as going entrances in the port of entries to the city. Wayfinders has been consistent. My concern is, and it's correct, 3 million now, 7 million now, it's not gonna be 7 million later. But nonetheless, the thing is that we're gonna wind up spending $3 million per block. And I think that is ample money, but I think that what we're gonna wind up doing is we're gonna bleed this thing and we're gonna come up short when I think we could have gone, we could get way more. There's been renderings, and the renderings are nice, but we never get to that rendering. When we saw the master plan, we were very excited. I looked at it. The thing is that it was presented as saying that it was just an overall. Let me tell you, there were people upset that sat there at that podium when we passed the second master plan at a reduced rate and didn't go straight to construction, engineering, design. They were upset. That never changed on Tuesday, for whatever reason. So, having said that, I make a motion to table this for further discussion, and I ask for a second.
I'll second.
I have a motion by the mayor, second by Councilmember Mata. All in favor indicating by saying aye.
Aye.
All against indicating by saying nay.
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 Now, any further discussion?
I make a motion
I have a motion by Councilmember Willis
that we accept the proposal.
at $648,000 change.
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
I have a second by Councilmember White. All in favor indicating by saying aye.
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 Okay. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion passes 4-3. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to resolution. Item 4, consider a Chapter 380 agreement with Wiley and Fredna Brown Family Partnership LTD for the development of approximately 126 acres located east of the intersection of Fadre and Highway 191, referred to Shiloh Square. Ms. Munson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item is to look at the Chapter 380 agreement. This allows cities to, among other things, develop and expand the local economy, promote and encourage development projects that enhance the city's economic base, and diversify and expand job opportunities, all while creating additional revenue for the city. The guidelines were adopted by the city to encourage high-quality business. We feel that the Chapter 380 agreement with Wiley and Fredna Brown Family Partnership will promote high-quality development and aid in the ongoing improvement of the quality of life. The amount of the 380 agreement is proposed at $7,117,362. This equals the estimated total of the public infrastructure that is being put in place by the developer. The Shiloh Square development will have a minimum investment of $20 million and will generate a minimum of 100 jobs. The 380 incentive payments will be paid from property tax revenues generated by the development and will be for a term of 15 years. In addition, the developer is only requesting these payments out of property tax. The development should also generate sales tax and impact fees for the city. It's similar to agreements that we currently have in place with Chimney Rock, Parks Legato, and Brownstone. The map is on the board. I would like to highlight a couple of things out of a memo that we received from the Wiley and Fredna Brown Family Partnership. Some of they're encouraged by the growth of the city of Odessa, and these are some contributions that they are providing to the city at no cost. South half of P-Bar Ranch Road, 40-foot of right-of-way, Legacy Drive, 80-foot of right-of-way, Castlegate, 50-foot right-of-way south of 56th Street. They're doing 56th Street between Fadre and Legacy, right-of-way of 60 feet. Utility easement for the 24-inch sewer line crossing acreage of P-Bar Ranch Road to provide a sewer access to the Parks Bell Ranch area and future development. Provided an excavated 9 acres retention basement to help control the drainage issues to the south of Mission and Highway 80. Provided the excavated 60-foot wide easement for the retention basins north of Fadre Road to allow drainage. They're allowing the contractor for the city of Odessa for the Fadre Road improvements to temporarily use their property in the Shiloh Square area for a staging area to help with the logistics of the construction. They want to continue their efforts in working with the city of Odessa and are hereby requesting this 380 agreement. In your packet, I provided both the map We discussed that on work session, along with the estimates of the infrastructure. That has been vetted by our Public Works Department. They do feel these estimates are accurate. And then the development plan that was provided by the partnership, telling what projects they hope to move into this area, as well as a projected city taxes workflow and what our amount would be from those after we pay out the incentive payments under this 380 agreement. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
Council, questions?
I don't have any questions, just a comment. So I keep getting slammed with the $10 million overrun on Faudree Road, but this is a perfect example of a private-public partnership. That overrun we did on Faudree Road, this project, in my opinion, would never have happened. They're spending $20 million of their own money. If you've been out there and looked at all, that piece of property from 191 to Legacy Drive, they've done Legacy Drive from Faudree Road all the way to 191. And they've got another road going now that comes back into Faudree Road up north. And the retention basin they're building up at P-Bar is just huge. And to catch all that water coming down from the north. So they've got a big capital investment. And I believe that this never would have occurred if we hadn't have gone forward with the Faudree Road project. And it's important that people understand that the city's growing that way. It's in my district. I can't help it. That's where they're going. And, you know, it is what it is. But this is a wonderful opportunity. And for the people who don't know, there's a scheduled grocery store in that section. And if you live out in the northeast Odessa, you understand we have no grocery stores. So it's a long way to one. So it's a wonderful project.
Wiley couldn't be here this evening, but his son and Mark are here if y'all want to hear anything from them.
Okay. Council, any further comments? I have a few. On the front page, whereas we had noted about the inconsistency of the 20 million. So basically, we went ahead and went with of at least? At least. Okay, so are we going with not less or minimum? Definition of at least is not less than, and the minimum number or amount or smallest amount.
Cindy, can you address that? Because we got with Cindy to see which would be the best language financially.
Yes, typically how we have worked these is that it takes them a few years to build up the 20 million investment and the 100 jobs, because that's part of the condition as well. And once they have met both of those, then they will start getting the rebates back on this agreement.
So the contract is literally saying that they need to reach the 20 million and the 100 jobs?
Yes.
Okay. The reason why I asked this, because I want to come back and saying, well, it's the way you interpret it, because when you go to page 6 of 13, item 3, creation of at least 100 jobs in the property. There's also, and that's why I wanted that clarification, that's been clarified. The other one is, there's also a section, I need to go look at it because I was reading this right before it came up here, because once again, it was not included in the packet as it was in the work session. So bear with me on this.
Okay.
So help me and guide me. There is a section in which basically is we're giving the 380 to companies that are going to be located new, that are basically will be contracted to be able to construct at that site, but it will not be an existing business moving from one other location of the city where it is paying property taxes at full scale commercial and then moving there. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Can you point me to what page that is? Because I was reading it on the phone, and I was trying to go through the right before council before we went into section, which makes it very difficult when these things are already passed and not attached to the agenda, which should have been of last week. I think this was sent out to about 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
Yes,
So can you help me and guide me to that portion right there? Because there is, some mitigating circumstances if that were to occur. And my question is how do we wind up saying that even though, I mean, like the McDonald's, that's a new McDonald's. That's not a relocation of a new McDonald's.
That is, yeah, it's a new McDonald's to the,
Yeah,
to the area.
yeah.
So it would count towards the,
Exactly.
absolutely. And if it's not in here, this is a draft, and we can make that change with the council's permission in the approval.
So is this not the
That
final,
is-
is this not the final contract?
And it's still a draft copy as it came from legal, but,
So we're asking for an approval of a draft?
and I,
So my question is and basically it's just the wording of the contract.
Yes, sir.
That's all I wanna make sure.
yes, sir.
We ran into, years ago, we ran into a situation where we wound up doing the expansion over there at Park Salgado.
Yes,
And so it was a narrative in the community about having Second Street abandoned because we were already going down that way, right? And then, so basically what we wound up doing is we're getting 380. I think, I can't remember if it was 10 years or 15 years or whatever it was. So the concern is that all the car dealerships were gonna move over to 42nd Street and then continue the abandonment of Second Street and continue the being a salami lot. And I think we wind up doing a reinvestment zone, it was something with the federal government, enterprise. And so, but that did occur. I don't think there was ever a follow-up that the businesses that did, wind up relocating off of Second and then went off of 191 if they participated in the 380.
yes, sir. There was an addendum made to the original contract, the original 380
This
agreement.
one or the past one?
The one that you're talking about, and that allowed them, they did an additional investment, and it allowed them an additional amount, but it could only be for value over what the value was of the old location, okay? And it had to have additional employees over.
And then that would be, then that, in that contract, then it would wind up doing, then they would be able to take advantage of 380.
Yes. It was an addendum to the original 380 agreement that they
Do we
did.
have that with this situation?
No, we do not. And it's 6.2.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you, if that's,
Is that it right
Mark's read the agreement. And Mark is also the son-in-law, and we did the 380 agreement with Brownstone, and so they're understanding. And we discussed that today. If you relocate a business,
If
that is.
business relocates.
If
on
it
its own, yeah.
relocates into the area, that's not counted. If they keep a location and they add a location, a secondary location here, it is counted. If they move jobs from one the current location into the new location, it can only be any new jobs added. Okay, so they may move 5 people from the old location and put them in the new location, and they add 5 more. So those 5 more is all that counts.
Would that be within the 15 years of the abatement?
Yes,
Okay. So in theory, basically, is that you can have one business, open a new one, and then within the 50 years, shut the original down, and then just operate on the new one.
but the 380 is gone in the 15 years, so
No, I know
at that,
But they
it's,
do benefit from the 380 within those 15 years of the relocation and the
right,
closing
but
of the old one.
they can't relocate within the 15-year period, yes.
No, they don't relocate.
Okay.
They keep location A, they
Right.
open B.
Right,
And within that 15-year span, A closes, and then they just operate B.
they could.
Yeah.
no, it's still,
You're saying I
That's
gotta
my
keep,
understanding, if they keep both locations open for the whole 15 years, then the new location counts. If both locations don't stay open for the full term
Or
of the
one of
deal,
the two.
then
The 380 goes away.
the 380 for that particular
In the new
Piece.
project
location.
Right.
goes away.
That's my bad. Thank
just
you.
that business, yes.
Okay,
So-
that's what I was asking for. Just wanted to defend it. Okay, so basically all my questions were on this contract. I want to make sure, well, this is a draft. This is not even the actual contract. When did we get the contract?
Mayor, it would be if y'all made any changes to the draft, that would be the final agreement.
So, but you're asking for a vote today for approval of a draft, but not the actual contract.
Well, it would be an actual contract once we made the changes that council wanted.
But you're asking for a vote tonight on the draft.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you see, I would rather have the vote on the actual contract with any, changes. Now, I don't think we're asking for any changes, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So we'll take off draft and it would be final.
Okay. Okay, understand.
Move for approval of the 380 agreement.
Second.
I have a hurried motion for the 380 by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilmember White. All in favor indicating by saying aye. Aye. All opposed indicating by saying nay. The elected is pushing.
Thank you.
Unanimously.
Thank you all very much.
Absolutely, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
stopping by.
Hey, Mark. Mark, hang around, I want to visit with you.
Okay.
Please.
Seeing that there's no more business before the city council, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Oh, we have a motion by Councilmember Swanner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Thompson. All in favor indicating by saying aye.
Priming
All
up.
opposed indicating by saying nay. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Be careful going.
Take your place.
Oh,
She's just
7
trying to
o'clock.
prime
If you
up.
didn't vote,
Too late. Too late.
Yeah, yeah.
Got to get her in practice.